Captain Man. Been a while. I need your help.
The movie opens up in Evil Science Corp laboratory, where some guards are transporting a valuable device. They take the device to a secure area and leave it there, but the box is opened by someone dressed as Kid Danger. He makes his way through the building trying to escape the guards. They try to stop him, but he fights back and takes the device. They corner him, and he uses their device against them and stops them. He goes outside and removes his mask, revealing a girl named Missy Martin. The device she took is a reality-altering device, and she is trying to get help from Kid Danger, also named Henry Hart. There is a brief narration telling us about the beginning of Kid Danger and his life as a sidekick to the hero named Captain Man. Henry got powers and sacrificed himself to save his city of Swellview. Pretending to be dead, Henry went on to be his own superhero. In the city of Dystopia, Henry and Jasper are the new crime fighters. Detective Jones asks Jasper when Henry is going to show up, since they are waiting for the appearance of a possible villain. Jasper says if Henry doesn't arrive, he'll take care of it. Just then, Piper and Schwa surprise him, and they tell him they came to visit him and Henry. Piper jokes around with Jasper and tries to get him with Detective Jones. He tries to stop them and takes them away. Henry and Jasper are the hottest crime fighters in Dystopia, so Henry is signing an endorsement for them. Jasper tells him he can't have fun tonight since he is on duty. When Piper asks him what duty, Jasper explains to them that a villain named Blackout may try to steal Dystopia power supply of plutonium and plunge the city into darkness. Henry is at the Bizwatch meeting, and the power suddenly goes out. The power also goes out for the city, and Schwaz goes to grab things for a device. The truck comes in, and Schwaz's modified camera allows him to see the plutonium rods. Blackout appears and attacks the driver. He is about to cause chaos, but gets into a fight with Jasper. They battle, and Jasper kicks him, but Blackout catches him off guard. Just then, Henry crash lands into the scene. He fights with Blackout and manages to toss him away. He knocks him out and goes to see Schwaz and Piper. He is happy they're around. He helps Jasper out and they greet with their fans. Blackout gets back up attacking Henry. He says Henry is weak and attacks him. Henry uses his force field power and knocks Blackout, and the power to the city is restored. When Jasper asked him how the meeting went and how their ad is, Henry only showed him a picture, with Jasper barely being able to show. Jasper is upset. Henry allowed the ad and left him blurred out. He says he does half the work and never gets credit. He says he will see Henry at home, but Henry tells him he's moving out. Jasper is shocked to hear this. But Henry says he just wants his own space, and they aren't kids anymore. His watch rings, and he's about leaving. Jasper goes his own way, and Schwaz goes to meet him. Piper confronts Henry, telling him what he did wasn't cool. Henry leaves anyways and goes to the building, seeing the mess of Blackout. Blackout surprises Henry and kicks him out of the window. We then see Missy activates the device from earlier. It scans through her stories, altering reality, and opens a portal, which brings Henry into her own world. She wakes Henry up, and Henry is confused as to where he is. He checks the mirror and sees he's wearing a mask. She tells him he is in Newtown, and her sister walks in. She manages to convince her sister not to tell their mom Kid Danger is here, and her sister leaves. Missy is very excited and introduces herself as a Kid Danger fan. He asks how he got here, and she tells Henry about the reality-altering device. She says she brought him back from the dead, but Henry reveals he wasn't dead. Missy says he died in a fire blimp after saving Swellview, but Henry tells her he only saved Swellview and faked his own death. This upsets Missy, and she says they were traumatized. Henry tells her he wanted to move on with his life and protect his family. He says he has still been alive, and she hugs him. Henry tells her he has been fighting crime in the Dystopia, and she asks if Jasper and Charlotte are with him. This shocks Henry, who is confused about how she knows Jasper and Charlotte. She then shows Henry's identity. She says she brought him to Newtown to fight crime. We then flash back to Missy and her sister being mugged by thieves. They take away their bags and iPads, but nobody helps them as they pass by. Just then, they hear a woman scream out for help and find a lady getting mugged. Missy realizes the man is a villain from her fan fiction. She says Henry has to help her. Henry is reluctant and tells her he just wants to get back to Dystopia. So she reminds him of his words as a superhero. This makes Henry remember the old deal he had with Captain Man, and he then agrees to help the woman. He says he will take care of Coach Craig, and then she will send him back to Dystopia. Missy tells him she wants to help, but Henry doesn't allow her to since she doesn't have any experience with fighting and is still a kid. He says he won't need his superpower, and Coach Craig is beating him up. Missy explains to Henry that they could be in her fan fiction. She used the RAD protocols and linked it with her stories, which means they are in her fan fiction reality. Since she didn't know Henry had superpowers, she never wrote it in her fanfic. Coach Craig beats Henry up and forces him to do 20,000 push-ups. She asks Henry if he doesn't want any help and tells him about another villain in her fanfic, an electric vampire. Henry agrees, and she knocks out Coach Craig. She's excited about teaming up with Henry. Henry wants to return to dystopia and have his superpowers back. She activates the device, and they are approached by Piper, who is a vampire queen. She gets the device to work, and they leave, but Piper steals an important crystal. They are instead transported to a nightclub called Shimmers, and Henry asks her why Piper was a vampire. Missy tells him Piper kicked her out of the Kid Danger Club, so she wrote a story where Piper was a villain. Henry sees Piper and is confused why she isn't in dystopia. Missy checks the RAD and knows something is wrong. Henry takes it from her and sees the device is locked in story mode. She says something must have happened in their fight with Coach Craig, and now they are trapped in her stories. She tells him in this story he is a sidekick, but not to Captain Man. Just then, the people cheer for Jasper, who is a hero named Captain Statch. Jasper shows off his powers, and Henry is upset and impressed. He wants to go back home, and Piper stops him. She calls Frankie to help Henry cheer up. Frankie takes Henry and gives him some fries, which cheers Henry up. Jasper asks about the RAD, and Missy tells him about the stories. Henry says they need to find a way to get back, so he suggests they find Schwoz. Missy never found out about Schwoz's identity, so he doesn't exist in her fanfic. She learns that the RAD changes reality in her story, but leaves the rest as actual reality. Henry realizes there's a chance Schwoz exists in this universe, so they start calling out to him. They find him washing dishes, and Henry approaches him. Henry hugs him and tells Schwoz he knew him in a different universe. He asks Schwoz for help, but Schwoz is reluctant. He asks Henry what kind of device, and he checks out the RAD. Unfortunately, they are interrupted by Coach Craig. He tells Frankie to do some push-ups, and Jasper goes to save him. Missy tries to convince Henry to help Jasper, since he is Jasper's sidekick. Henry is reluctant, and they chant for him to transform. Henry is upset and goes to save Jasper. He uses the candy to hit Coach Craig, but since it doesn't have any superpower, Henry is tossed away, and Coach Craig goes after him. He beats Henry up, and Jasper comes to save him. He takes down Coach Craig and sends him away. Henry leaves, and Missy goes to meet him. She gives him a gold star because he is in Jasper's shadow, and tells him in the story she gives him gold stars to appreciate him. Henry finds it weird because in reality, Jasper is constantly living in his shadow. Schwoz meets up with them and explains the reason they are stuck in Missy's stories is because a crystal is missing. Frankie shows up and says a show is starting. He gets into an argument with them, and they fight over the RAD. They are accidentally transported into an animated realm. Missy then takes them back to Newtown, but Frankie wants to go back to his party, and Henry wants Schwoz to fix the RAD. Missy explains the RAD picks stories at random, and there are worse stories out there. Frankie says they should find a way to get him back to his party. Henry agrees, but Missy says they have a problem. Coach Craig and Vampire Piper show up, and Henry tries to talk to her. She doesn't listen, but Frankie compliments her style. Henry and Missy uses this opportunity to escape and hide in a trailer. Frankie gets bitten by Piper, and this causes him to change. Henry says this isn't good, because if they get infected by Piper, they won't ever get back to reality. They try to devise a plan, but Coach Craig rips the door out. Piper asks what the RAD can do, and Missy tells her. She wants to enslave other reality, but they manage to escape. In the new story, Jasper saves Henry, and they go at the barricade. Missy tells Henry this reality had a nuclear war, and humans now fight for maple syrup. Henry tells Missy they follow the same plan and find Schwoz. She says they are waiting for the truck driver to carry the syrup, and Henry mentions the other world. They tell Jasper about everything, and he asks why he and Henry fell out. Henry says he got too busy in his reality. He agrees to help Jasper fight the Mounties, and Jasper save him. Missy has a wild idea to let the Mounties in. They open the gate, and the Mounties come in. Henry and Jasper surprise the men and take them down. They beat them up, and Missy washes them away with the syrup. Missy locks the Mounties up, and Henry and Jasper talk about their life together. Jasper is happy to see his friend happy again, and the trucker arrives. The man comes out and turns out to be Schwoz. Henry is happy to see Schwoz again and shakes Schwoz. They know the RAD works fine and realize Piper took the crystal. Missy blames herself for causing the mess they are in and says she messed up. Henry tries to comfort her and says she only wanted what was best for her town. They plan to return to Newtown, take the crystal from Piper, and let Schwoz repair the device, sending everyone back home. They all accept the stakes of probably turning into a vampire and join hands in the machine. They hit the button and are transported into Newtown. Piper comes out holding Gemma. She tells Coach Craig and Frankie to go after them. Coach Craig blows his whistle to affect them and beats Henry up. Jasper takes on Frankie and Henry fights back. Jasper says he will take them on, and Henry goes inside. Jasper fights with Coach Craig and Frankie. He manages to fight both of them, but Coach Craig uses his whistle. Inside the house, Henry is startled by Missy, and she tells him she wants to help Henry save her sister. Piper shows up, and Missy goes to fight with her. Piper knocks Missy back. Henry goes to fight with Piper. He catches her punch and uses her power against her. He is charged up, but Piper uses it against him. Back outside, Jasper fights with Coach Craig and Frankie Knee, while Schwoz invents something. Coach Craig uses his whistle, but Schwoz's new earplugs helps him, and he destroys the whistle. Henry is about to be attacked, but Missy saves him. She gets bitten by Piper, but is able to get the crystal. Henry rushes outside and gives the crystal to Schwoz. Schwoz tries to work the machine, and Henry and Jasper holds him off. They have an intense battle, and Piper calls her vampire army. Jasper nods to Henry, and they try to hold them off. Schwoz gets the machine to work, and he resets it. They are sent back to their reality, and Missy hugs her sister. Henry comes out of the water, and he tosses the Bizwatch away. He is soaked and goes to meet Jasper. He gives Jasper a golden star. He says Jasper is a good friend and apologizes to him. He says he is leaving Dystopia in Jasper's hands, but there is one more job to finish. They return to stop Blackout and fight as a team. They defeat Blackout and takes him out. Detective Jones comes to ask for a picture, but this time it's with Jasper. Piper and Schwoz and asks if they can see a show, but Jasper says he wants to meet his fans instead. They ask Henry, and he says he has a new place to be instead. The next day, Missy is writing an email, and the thieves come to mug her. But Henry shows up to stop them. He hands her laptop back to her, introducing her to the real Jasper. Schwoz also comes to tell them about the new hideout. Missy is excited and runs off. She comes back, and Henry tells him to get on the bench. He takes her hands and uses his power to jump very far. In the next scene, Henry and Missy goes to stop a crime, but they find someone else handling it. He reveals himself to be Captain Man. Captain Man tells Henry it's been a long time, and he asks Henry for his help. The movie comes to an end. If you enjoyed this recap, leave a like and subscribe.